Okay, so I got the part sitting over there in the lathe ready to start working on the threads. Just thought I'd share this thread calculator I use. It's from Theoretical Machinist, and you can see we're going to cut a 3/4 16 fine thread. And then on the major diameter, you just input the thread dimensions and it spits all these numbers out for you. Major diameter 0.7485 to 0.739. So that's the amount of tolerance we have, about 9 thousandths roughly, tolerance on the outside diameter of that. It also gives you pitch diameter, minor diameter. And then the dimension over wires, 0.7738 to 0.7687. That's using a 40 thousandths wire. And you put the size of the wire in that you're going to use. You can see grayed out there, it says a 0.0361 is the best wire. My wire set does not have a 0.361, so I used a 0.40.
So in the last video, we got this thing pretty close to ready to thread. We're going to go in and cut the back, relief cut behind the thread, so we've got a trough to stop the tool in. And we're also going to use that as the O-ring groove. And I don't have a measurement, I couldn't find the measurement on that, but in looking at the picture close, it looks to be the same diameter as the front end of the plug, which I'm sure is just the minor diameter of the thread. It's what it appears anyway. So we're going to go into that depth with this groove, and anyway, that'll kill two birds with one stone, hopefully. And this is a square bottom tool, and I don't know if their other plug has a rounded bottom in it or not, but anyway, I've gone in and touched and zeroed my hand wheel, and if we look up here, this page is out of Machinist's Handbook, I believe is where it came from. So if we look on the line for 16, threads per inch come down to 16. That second column, 0.0406, is the single depth of the thread when cut with a National Form tool, which is what I'm using. If you use a hand ground one with a sharp point, which would be the V-form tool, come down, I think it was 473 or 0473. Yeah, right there, 0473. So we're gonna go now 415 deep on that. And that'll give us just a little bit of clearance in case we need to cut the threads a little bit deeper. Actually, I'm a couple of thousandths under, so let's just go at 410. We'll fire the lathe up and kick it on. When I say 410, I mean 41 thousandths. There we go. Stand. Pick it up just a little bit about left edge. That tool's coming out of there. sealing surface. There's that. We'll switch to the threading tool. Alright, got the threading tool in. You see the little silver line in the blue there. I just touched it. Set my hand wheel at 0. My cross slide was at 0. I've advanced it in 5 thousandths. I'm going to take a 5 thousandths cut. I've got the lathe going 32 RPMs, which would be the center dot up there on that one, this handle to the right, and this handle here to the right. Got in 16 threads per inch, which is the hole underneath that column, and A and B. And we're set to thread here. We've taken this handle is to feed left, this way is to feed right. The center hole's for threading, and this here's the half nut lever, which will engage on the number 1 when it comes around. And here we go. And there is very, very little clearance in there, so I don't know. I don't know how fast this thing's going to creep in, so let's start it on 2. It'll give me, I've pulled way away from the part here. It's creeping pretty slow, but there is like no room there to disengage this thing, so make it kind of a screwy camera shot here because I gotta watch what's going on. There's the first pass, and I gotta go to work now, so I'll stop it there and pick it up this afternoon. All right, in that last clip, I had taken one pass across that part, and you can see there now, there's not a pass on that part. And if you look at the threading tool, it's different than the threading tool in the previous shot. What I did was when I cut the relief groove here, I used my 1/8 inch threading, or my 1/8 inch parting tool. So it's 125 thousandths groove. And I did that before I saw Michigan Muzzy's other couple of pictures of a little more detail on that shoulder. And the diameter of that shoulder where that O-ring's going to ride. And I wasn't happy with that 1/8 inch, so I got my smallest tool, which is 94 thousandths, 3/32. It's my smallest cutoff tool. And I went in and recut that shoulder down to, I believe it was 641 thousandths wide. Have to look at the paper again. I've got the measurements written down on my little rough drawing that I've got over there. And then I took the cutoff tool, took it over to the belt sander, and ground a 60 degree threading tip on it. That shoulder in there, that little groove, just there's hardly any room for error. If I disengage just a little too late, I'm going to smack up against this bigger shoulder here, leave a big line in it, and want to keep that as nice and smooth as I can. So I went, and that other threading tool was an 1/8 inch wide threading tool. So, and you can see I offset the tip just a little bit to the left to give me just that much more space to disengage this thing without crashing it. And this shoulder now, in the other little section we were at 747, I believe. Now it's right at 750. So I'm going to fire the lathe up. We're all set to thread, 32 RPMs, 16 threads per inch. Put you in the holder. Don't know how much you'll be able to see. Hopefully be able to see it good enough here. And we're going to take this first pass. I missed the number coming around, so I went to the next. No, I backed up and hit the next number, so that's why we're feeding in from such a distance. Okay, I'm going to have to wait for that next number to come around, so I'll pause here and wait for that. I advanced in another 5 thousandths deeper. This will be cut will be at 10 thousandths. And this cut's going to be around 40 thousandths deep on this thread, so we'll do this till we start getting close to 40, and then we'll measure. Okay, this cut will be at 15 thousandths deep. Okay, this one's going to be 20 thousandths deep. Next cut will be at 25, and so on and so on. I'm going to pause this and wait until I get down there quite a bit further. You get the general idea of what we're doing here. Most of the way. See, they're a little bit rough, some chips in them. I'll file that up. once we get the lathe going on high speed. I've ran a file through it a little bit, flow it out again, and then we're going to measure them over wires. Don't know how many of you have seen this technique before. I got this little trick off from Tubal Cain's YouTube channel. We'll blow that out and brush them out. So I've got my thread wires in a little piece of foam insulation. I've got the two on the top, one on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that because the light's on the camera. So what you do, you put them just a little smaller than the dimension of the thread you're measuring, so they kind of hold themselves in there. When I was first trying to measure threads using wires, it was a bear, because they kept trying to hold those 3 wires in one hand and use the micrometer in the other hand. Was a pain in the neck. So anyway, it'll hold itself right there. And take the micrometer, make sure the anvil and stuff is clean on it. Open it up. On that bottom wire, I gotta move forward one. That looks better. There we go. And I just kind of wiggle and rock and make sure I'm getting the smallest measurement, all the while, you know, putting a little bit of pressure on the top of the micrometer on the thread, you know, threading it in the whole time I'm rocking and moving that. I think that's it right there. We'll lock that down, pull it off, and see what we got. Okay, so we just measured that. Let's see if we can get where you can see this. It's about 771 and 4/10, something like that. So here was our dimensions over the wires. We needed to be between 7738 and 7687. And we are 7724, which falls within spec there. About 1.5 thou under the max dimension, which is good. These are a little, just a touch bigger thread, but it should still fit. So anyway, so threading is done.